All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another live Instagram photo critique. I am Eric Marks. I'll be your host as always, and today we're just going to wait just a few seconds, or a few minutes rather, for people to start joining in to the critique today, because I normally do these critiques on Fridays. Today is a Thursday, and my schedule's been all kinds of whack. A relative on my wife's side of the family passed away, so the last couple of Fridays it didn't work. And my dad's birthday is this weekend, and we're going up to the mountains with him to spend a day with him up there, walk around some old mountain downtown areas, and just eat lunch and spend the day with him. So I thought I would do the live stream today. But because of that, I'm going to give people a few minutes to join in, because this isn't a regularly scheduled live stream. So if you're watching this on the recording and not live, just shoot down to the description box and you'll see where the critique actually starts. So that way you don't have to sit here and hang out for all this, the pre-show talk. So that way you don't have to join the live chat and all that stuff. So anyway, we're going to do today's critique on Thursday instead of Friday. And yeah, we'll just wait for a few people to join in, and then I will get started shortly. And I'm just going to get all my windows together, make sure I have everything in Photoshop. And when you guys start joining into the live chat, let me know that the video and audio is sounding good. Just say hello, maybe where you're watching from. That's always fun. And then we will go from there. So hello, I'm watching some more people join in. Just going to do the quick live stream today, just to repeat what I've already said, instead of tomorrow, because I have plans. My father's birthday is this weekend, so I'm going to be spending tomorrow with him up in the mountains. So we're going to do this week's Instagram photo critique today. We do have more photos than usual to go through. We even have, I think, 1 or 2 portraits that I'll be critiquing as well, so that'll be fun. Let me see. I'll tell you what we have. We have 1, 2, 3. We have 2 landscapes, 3 landscapes, and 2 portraits. And then another landscape that is the photo of the week. So we have quite a few photos this week, more than I normally do. Normally I do like 3 or 4. I think we have 5 or 6 this time. Looks like we have 6. So yeah, we'll be today will be a busy Instagram photo critique since I've taken a couple weeks off with this. So it should be fun. And again, as you guys are joining in, just let me know where you're joining in from in the live chat. I always like doing a little bit of pre-talk before the show. So if you guys have any questions or whatever, go ahead and fire those off now before I get started into the photos. I always prefer to answer questions at the beginning or the end. It's just easier that way. All right. Oh, by the way, I got my, for anyone that's watching now, I got my iPhone XS Max in the mail. I ordered, this is kind of funky, I ordered the black one, the space gray, and they sent me the silver. I've never had that happen before. Pretty weird. It's very unlike Apple. I called them and they said they would send me the black, but it was a way further out to get it. It was like January now or something. So yeah, I'm fine. I don't know. I kind of like the silver. I like the white back. It suits me. I like it. So yeah, I'm definitely not gonna cry over not having a black phone and have to wait till January to get it or whatever. But the camera has been pretty good. All the studio light nonsense doesn't work as good as people say, but the actual camera, the sensor is about 30% larger, which is nice. It's pretty impressive. It's a pretty impressive little camera for the iPhone. It's a huge upgrade for me because I'm normally on the iPhone 6. The iPhone 6 is what I came from. So all right, cool. Looks like we have a few people joined in now. So we will go ahead and stop my mindless bantering, and we'll go ahead and get into the critique here, the first photo. All right, here we go. Exciting stuff. So this photo here, the first thing I notice about it is it has this use of negative space. All up here is just negative space. And sometimes I like that, sometimes I don't. Sometimes it works. In a situation like this, where it's clearly golden hour or maybe some kind of sunrise situation, I don't really know what the subject is. I'm not sure why the negative space was put in there. I could have definitely seen it if you were hanging around and doing like some astrophotography to kind of mix in with this. If you were going to put a bunch of stars all up here in the top, that would be super cool. But there's nothing up here. There's no clouds. It's just a very faint blue sky, and it's nothing interesting. So what I think would make things a million times better is if this image were just simply cropped. So if we just crop this down to more of a panorama style image, something like that, boom, it's a million times better, but it's still not a fluid, make sense to me kind of photo. And I don't want to be mean, but at the same time, I want to be honest so I can help you. I'm confused. I'm lost when I look at this. I don't really know what the subject is. I don't know if there's a specific building, up here, some of these buildings that you're wanting to showcase. I'm not sure. Or if it's just that maybe you were driving along the coast and you saw some nice light and you thought, hey, there's some golden light, kissing these buildings and this hill, so let's take a photo. And that's fine. It's okay to take a snapshot. But yeah, that would be my critique, is that I don't really know what the subject is. Obviously, you have some nice, a nice little reflection over here. It's got nice elements like the water, a little bit of land, the mountain landscape with some people in it, and then a sky. The problem is it just all the elements weren't worked into the scene as good as they could have been, or at least as good as they could have been on a different day or different timing. Like if this sky back here had some killer clouds, and then maybe there was a sun star bursting off right here to kind of fill in this area, and then on top of that you could see more of these buildings and a reflection down here, then it would start working a little bit more. But even then, I'm not really sure what the subject would be. So I'm not going to spend a long time critiquing this, because I probably wouldn't say, oh, well, all you have to do is just do this to make this photo better. I would have said, try a completely different composition. Stand at a different angle, maybe zoom in on one of the buildings. Just find what your subject is. And as soon as you know what your subject is, then, angle your composition around that. That's what I always try to tell people that are kind of trying to figure out how to make photos look interesting. Ask yourself what you want to showcase in that photo, and then just basically shape your entire composition around that element. So, for example, if you wanted to showcase this building for some reason, then maybe zoom in a little further on this building and put this in like the left third, and then just show more of the sunset or something. So there's a million different ways this could have been done differently. I wasn't there, so I can't say. But yeah, I would just say be careful about how you convey the scene, because this is confusing to me as a viewer. I don't really know what to think. The first thing I think as a photographer is, hey, this is nice light. You have some nice side lighting kissing the buildings there, and it looks like a beautiful place to be, but this photo doesn't necessarily make me want to be there, because I just don't really know. It's a little confusing. So there you go. That's my 2 cents on that one. And as always, as I thank every photographer for submitting an image. It really does mean a lot to me. Even though, because sometimes I'm harsh on the photos, it's not me trying to be mean or tell you to stop taking photos. It means I'm telling you to take more photos. Keep practicing, keep getting better. And I know how much of a risk, so to speak, it is to put your photo out like this in front of a lot of people, and it makes you a very humble photographer. So I very much admire people that submit these photos for critique, and I thank you very much for the photographer who submitted this. All right, moving on to the next photo here. So I chose this one to critique mainly for the processing. I wasn't at this scene, so I don't know if there could have been a better composition. It looks like the photographer is kind of at a high point staring down on this scene. It looks like there's like a little faint path right here, and there might be some kind of path or road that goes along the trees here. And then the sky and the clouds are beautiful, and I love all the fog that's rolling in with the trees. So I don't know if there's a better composition, because I'm not in love with the composition, but I'm in love with the moment. I think you captured some beautiful light in a beautiful moment, and that's pretty much all you need to make a good photo. So I really like this. I don't like that you left this building or whatever it is, this little thing down here, some kind of trailer, that probably could have been removed to eliminate distraction and to kind of take the human-esque element out of this photo, because this photo could be timeless if you took this little trailer out of it. So what I would say about the processing is it needs to be a little more punchy and powerful, and some dodging and birding could have really just killed it. Now, I don't like to critique that much on processing, because everyone has a very different way of doing things, and that's fine. Everyone's different. But I really think this photo could have really benefited from some more processing, and it could be that this photographer just didn't know these things. So I'm going to show you, and if you don't like it, that's perfectly fine, but I'll show you anyway. So if I just hop into the channels here and make a selection of the RGB, which is basically going to create me a luminosity mask, all right, I'm going to grab a curves layer right here. And on the curves layer, now that I have it as the luminosity mask selection, I can actually control the highlights like that in the scene. So I would probably darken down that sky just a hair like that. Now look at that. I want to show you the before and after. Here's before, and there's after. Before and after. You see how it got a little more punchy, a little more red and colorful? I did no saturation, no vibrance and no saturation, just simply darkening the highlights. And it really made those colors a little deeper. So I like that. That's going to be it. That's all I would do to the colors. And then I would definitely do some dodging and burning, which I'll show you very quickly. I'm going to create a new layer, overlay. I'll fill it. And then I'm going to paint with a white brush at a very low opacity. And I want to show you what this does. Normally I don't do this much processing in these critiques like this, but I really want to show you what this does to fog. I love the fog that's rolling in. So here we go. Let me show you. You see how it's just really, really bringing out that fog. So I'm just kind of streaking down the lines with the fog. Everywhere there's fog, I'm just kind of touching it with my little Wacom tablet brush here. Okay, just like that. I'm just doing it, and I'm going to blend this in a second. Then I'm going to hit X to paint with black, and I'm going to do some burning. And I'm burning in this path. I'm creating the path for the eye to lead me into the scene. Okay, we'll burn some of the trees to make those a little darker. We'll hit the specific trees here. And all this is doing is adding more contrast. It's adding more dynamic contrast to the scene. You're separating the whites from the blacks. So you're making the trees stand out more because we're lightening the fog and we're darkening the trees. And I sell a whole course on this, by the way. So if you're ever interested in more of this stuff, I sell a 10-hour course for only $25 on this on my findingmiddleearth.com/store. It's my landscape blending course. This will teach you all this stuff. You see how I'm just darkening all these trees and then lightening the fog? Okay, so here we go. So let me blend this in now. See, I'm going to make it super subtle like that. Only 20% of that I used. Now look at this. Before, after. Before, after. Look how much more dimension and shape that added to the composition. Before, after, before, after. I think that just made a huge change, even though it's only 2 changes we did. We added a curves layer with a luminosity mask and a dodge and burn layer. So here's with them both off. That's the original image that the photographer submitted. And then there it is when I had a few little touches on it. Before, after, before, after. In my opinion, that looks worlds better, and all it needed was just a little bit of post-processing help. And that's a really nice, just subtle, beautiful sunset image or sunrise. I like it a lot. So well done. Thanks again for submitting this image. Beautiful work, beautiful shot, and a beautiful moment. So before we move on, let's head back over to YouTube here and see what's going on in the live chat, just in case I've missed anything. All right, let's see. Chad is here. What's up? He says, hey, what's up, Eric? It's been way too long. Yeah, I know. It's the Thursday live stream, I know, is not normal. So what I was saying, Chad, before you were here probably, is that it's my dad's birthday this weekend. So tomorrow, going to spend the day with him and my family up in the mountains. So I don't know if I'm going to have time to do the live stream, and I didn't want to keep pushing it off. So I just thought that I would do it today. Which, by the way, Chad, if you're going to hang around for the live stream, I think I have one of your photos in here in the critique, and I had a question about it. So when we get to that photo, I want you to answer in the live chat because I had a question. Okay, so let's go ahead. And by the way, for anyone that doesn't know, Chad normally makes regularly, like 2 or 3 times now, has made like the photo of the week because his work is really, really good. So this time I actually have a photo to critique of yours, but it's going to require an answer from you first. So, all right, let's go ahead and hop back into Photoshop, and we will go ahead and move on to the next photo. All right, here we go. Here it is. This is Chad's photo. So here is my question. Right when I saw this on Instagram, I thought two things. I thought, number one, this probably performed insanely well on Instagram because this looks like something that would just blow people's minds on Instagram. You know, the whole like little person, big landscape kind of thing. And I really do think it's a nice shot overall. Here's my question. The more I zoomed in on it and I saw his position and like his feet, it looks fake to me. So I need Chad to tell me in the live chat if this is a composite or if this is a real shot, because that would change my opinion on it, I think. But I personally think that it's not real. I think that the way his feet are sitting kind of gives it away that it's a fake composite. I guess I should say not fake. I'll just say it's a composite, that this person wasn't really there. So if it is fake, then I would say that his position or his foot or something, the way that you blended him in is nice, but it doesn't fit well. So I would say this image isn't my favorite if it's fake, because the way his feet are positioned just looks off to me. If it's real, then I would say, first off, brilliant job, brilliant moment. I like the overall shot, but I wish that he was just facing that way. I wish that he was facing a different way to make it more mysterious and more dynamic. Now, I'm going to take that back if this is like a marketing shot. You know, if this is a shot where someone's trying to market a pair of shoes, or maybe they're trying to market the hat here or the glasses or the clothes, then sure, face the camera all day long. I don't really know what kind of shot this was. But if this is just a person in a landscape, maybe him sitting on the edge of the cliff over here, just looking out that way, would have been great. Or even standing. If he was just standing up, you know, a little stick figure there I'll draw, and looking out that way. Both of those I think would have been a little better than him facing the camera. I think it's just a little weird and offsetting him looking at the camera in this kind of landscape, because almost every kind of photo that I like to look at with people in landscapes, I like them kind of staring off into the distance, or else I like them over here as a teeny tiny little speck, you know, looking out this way. So there we go. So before I move on, let me hop over to the live chat to see if Chad has answered my question yet. Chad says, yes, it's a composite. I didn't take too much time with this one. I was kneeling in an alley in the original. Okay, there you go. That's what I was wondering. Okay, so it is a composite. All right. So then, so then all I would say is that maybe the position of his legs and feet just didn't work as well here. Now, it's very good. I mean, it took me a minute to keep looking at it before I noticed it was a composite. It was mainly his feet look like they're kind of floating, but I mean, you added the shadows and the lighting is very close. But yeah, I would just say if you ever get to a position like this, then Chad, where you do have a person on a cliff, just have him face the other way or sitting on the edge of the cliff and look away. That way it's a little more mysterious, but not a bad shot at all. I mean, even with the person out of it, you know, this would be a beautiful landscape. Yeah, I like it. Anyway, overall, good job. Chad is a regular here. He knows he knows I'm not going to beat him up too bad. So here we go. Let's move on to the next photo. Now this one I'm going to beat up a little bit. And I'm not going to beat up the model. I'm going to beat up the photographer a little bit here. So I don't get this one very much. It confuses me. The model looks a little uncomfortable with her pose. It's not a bad pose, but the model looks a little uncomfortable, like her facial expression. And in my opinion, at least, not everybody feels this way. I think it's the biggest no-no to cut any person off at the waist. So right down here, that's pretty much cropped at the waist. I think that was a bit of a mistake. It looks a little weird. And then the background is this kind of like cracking paint, old green background with this weird shape and a big number 4. So here's what I'm going to say before I beat this up. If this is a series of photos where this photographer is doing something for a company that's something significant with the number 4, then this probably works out really well in a series. If this is not a series, which I don't think it is, then I would say the model needs to be maybe 10 or 15 feet further away from the background, so that you can make the background, the green, go in blur. It's a nice background. You just need to make it go in a bit of a bokeh with a 2.8 or 1.8 aperture. And if you're going to have the model lean up against this thing and you don't want it to go in blur, you want her to lean up against the background, I would just say a more creative angle or a better pose, or even a closer up shot with the model kind of staring, off right or off left, would have been a little bit more artsy than just cutting it off at the waist and looking at the camera. She just looks a little uncomfortable, and then this is just distracting me, this whole shape with the number 4 thing. I just don't really get that. So I'm having trouble, I guess finding the words to say how to make this shot better, because I don't know if this shot can get better the way it is, because if I cropped it in, I would want her to be looking one way or the other, and I can't crop it out, unfortunately, to show more of her body. I think it would have been better if you could have seen more of her body in a shot like this. But yeah, I mean, pretty model, pretty background. I just don't like the shape, and I don't like the way the model and the background were, intertwined together in this shot. I think the background either should have been blurry or it should have been a different pose. And again, not that the pose is bad. It's just in this composition, the pose, her face looks a little uncomfortable. She looks a little uncomfortable or a little shy or something to be doing this kind of pose. Yeah, so that's all I have to say about that one. Nothing too bad. It's not. I mean, I can tell the photographer, knows what they're doing. I mean, it's not like it's some horrible shot. It's just I don't know if this was taken on a camera or an iPhone. If it was a serious shot or just kind of a snapshot of a friend. Not sure. But yeah, that's my 2 cents about it. Just the pose a little off, and then the background could have been used a little better there, because the background is nice. I like the crackling paint kind of element to it. All right, before we go any further, let's check the chat again. Let's see. All right, chat is still going on in here. Let me see. So this is more for practice. Okay, yeah, the composite, cool. Let's see. Chad says, "Hey Eric, check out my latest tiger shot at the zoo. I used the FME critique." All right, cool. I will check that one out. I'll check that out on the next critique. I love your animal shots. By the way, we'll stop and say this again. I've said it in a couple of critiques. Anyone that's watching this on the live or the recording, Chad Sifford, or if that's how you pronounce it, Chad Siford. Go search for him on Instagram. His wildlife photos of animals at the zoo, they're unbelievable. I don't know if he uses high-speed sync with flash or if he cuts them out, but he gets them in these like mysterious black backgrounds with this crazy lighting, and their eyes are always like tack sharp and perfectly dodged in. They're incredible. So look at his animal shots. You'll probably want a print of them. They're that good. They're very, very good. All right, so let's hop on to the next photo here. Let's transist that over. There we go. All right, here is the last photo before we do the photo of the week, my favorite photo this week. So this one's tough. There's a lot of people that like the whole sunset, infinity sunset into the endless water. So I'm going to give you my biggest pro of this image and my biggest con, all right? The biggest pro is that the horizon line is dead on perfectly straight. That rarely happens with these kind of photos, believe it or not. So bravo, well done that your horizon line is perfectly straight. Beautiful, beautifully done. That really adds to the image. You'd be surprised how much it takes away from an image when it's all crooked like this. So the composition isn't bad. I like the way that you put the horizon line in the lower bottom third instead of cut the image in half like so many people do. So I like that. That was a good composition choice. What I don't like, what I'm having trouble with, is that this image is, at least in my opinion, is simply oversaturated. It's too punchy. It's too blue up here. It's way too orange up here. I can actually see some color banding, even though this is a low-resolution file. The colors are just conflicting a little bit. The water here turned a little bit too blue. The colors just tonally don't blend well. There's very very defined cuts in the color. It's broken up. Like right here is a very big cut in the blue where it bands off into a yellow, and then this kind of purpley magenta over here in the clouds kind of cuts and bands off into the orange, and then same thing all the way down. There's just all these big artifacting color banding, and it could be this low resolution, but it's still, I think the image is overall just a little too saturated. So that can easily be fixed. Just obviously don't crank up the saturation that much, but if we go to a hue saturation layer and we just tone that back a bit, that immediately to me is way nicer. It's way more subtle of a way to portray the sunset. Even then, the blue's a little bit too much. But it's, again, like I said, I hate to critique too much on processing, because if oversaturated images are your thing, I can't say anything, because The guy I don't know, his name slips me now. I forget his name. The guy that has all the gallery based out of Las Vegas that sells those $1 million prints that are like saturation 100%. You know, he makes millions of dollars, so I can't say anything. But I prefer the whole subtle, natural look most of the time, unless the scene calls for something a little more magical and ethereal. But, you know, just a good solid beach sunset, it doesn't need this much saturation like that. It doesn't really need it. You captured a nice moment. It's beautiful clouds, beautiful light. Just, you know, let the natural colors kind of do their own thing and work their way through the image. Obviously, the raw file is going to capture all the data you need, so just push it a little bit. I would call it post-processing maturity, I guess is what I would call it. Just show that you can restrain yourself a little bit and you don't have to go the extra mile with the saturation or vibrance slider, because everyone has the power to do that. The question is, do you have the power to not do that? So there you go. I would just say tone down the saturation. That's all I would say. I mean, this is as straightforward as it gets, right? A beach, an ocean horizon sunset. I mean, it's not anything insanely special, and it's not anything bad. It's just a very pleasing image. You could frame it, and there'd probably be a lot of hotels on the beach that would buy it. So there you go. Simple as that. All right, let's move on to the photo of the week. One of my favorites. Boom. This image was captured in New Zealand, I believe, and I love it. I love everything about it, I think. Let me analyze it real quick. Yep, I love everything about it. I like the colors. They're even though the colors seem oversaturated, go with me here, I have seen multiple sunsets like this where I can just kind of tell based on the tonal range that it was probably this colorful in person. Might have even been more colorful. I've shot some sunsets here recently in the mountains, up in like the summer sunsets in the mountains, and I've actually had to desaturate them right out of the camera because they were so punchy with the color. And I can tell that this was probably this colorful, if not more colorful, in person. So job well done to this photographer. Again, the credits for all the photographers will be in the description below by photo. I'll label them photo number 1, number 2, number 3 in order. And so if you want to follow this photographer, you can go click the link below in the description. But this is just phenomenal. I love the soft water. I love the magentas and purples in the water. It's pink and orange and blue, and it's not too much of anything. If I could say anything, if I could make one critique, I would just say that here in the shadows of the rocks, like all along the shadows here, it's a little bit too purpley, a little bit too magenta. So I would probably have just gone to the HSL scale and toned that down, and then masked that in with a brush and just painted that out in the shadows, because I think it's just a little bit too purpley magenta in the shadows here. Other than that, and that's just me being, in college I took a few art classes and a color theory class. I mean, me and colors are just, I don't know. I'm a little too nitpicky sometimes when it comes to blending colors and making them look natural. So that could just be being nitpicky, but that's the only thing, is that if you can see what I'm talking about here in the shadows, it's just a little too purpley pink. But it's not, I mean, that's not going to ruin the shot at all. It's if the photographer wanted it there, by all means keep it there. It's beautiful. The foreground is nice, the composition is nice, the shapes and patterns. You have this tiny little gully right here that just leads you right out, and then by the time my eye gets here, I start to catch the rocks, and I come back and I look at the sun, and then I shoot over and go, oh, look, a little island over here. It just works. To me, it just works. I like the shape of everything. I like the natural flow of the rocks. Everything seems to kind of be pointing, towards either the sunset or pointing towards the rocks. It's all pointing in a very good symmetrical-ish type direction. So I like that. Job well done. Beautiful photo of the week. And thank you again to all the photographers that always decide to submit their work. Again, it takes a very humble photographer to do that, and I really, really appreciate it. Just beautiful. Beautifully done. Love it. All right, let me hop back in on the live chat here. If I were to guess, I'm going to guess that nothing else has been done in the live chat because you guys have been kind of quiet lately. Let's see. Yep, I was right. No more chats. Chad is the only one chatting it up today. All right. Well, since I know Chad is going to talk to me, I'll hang around for a few more minutes here in case you guys have any questions or you guys have any comments about the photos. And then if we're good in the next few minutes, I'll wrap it up, and I will see you guys on the next one in the next week's critique. And that one should be on Friday, promise. Fridays at 10 p.m. is when these normally are. All right. So anyone been anywhere interesting to photograph lately? Anyone get any new camera gear? Anything exciting going on with you guys? I mean, let's talk here. It's a live chat. It's fun. You guys are like my favorite 16,000 people, and I don't get to do live streams as often. So let me know how you guys have been doing, where you're watching from, all that good stuff. And if not, that's fine. I get you guys. Maybe you're a little bit shy sometimes. Whatever. Perfectly fine with me. Let's see. Jason said, how did the Disney trip go? Went really well. Spent about a week there, and I shot with the A7R III the entire time. I have quite a bit to say about that camera, which I will say in the review for sure. Some good and some bad. Let's see. Chad says, are you missing the Fuji? Right now, I'm not. I mean, I'm not really missing the Fuji right now. I have my D850, and that's all I need at the moment. But I mean, obviously, if in a perfect world, I would have a Fujifilm GFX 100 and then my D850 as well. But that will be a while. Let's see. This person says, where would your one place to go if you could pick? If I could go to one place, it would be New Zealand, without a doubt, because I would want to go visit the Hobbiton film set and then photograph all around that area. And then make my way down to Milford Sound in New Zealand. I'd like to go see the mountain range called the Remarkables. Would love that. Let's see. It says mine is Japan. Yeah, Japan would be phenomenal as well. I'd love to go to Kyoto, Japan, and photograph the blooming of the, I forget what they call it, that special kind of tree that blooms there. I would love to go in that season. Japan, New Zealand, Iceland. Yeah, Iceland is another great one. New Zealand or Iceland, I would be equally happy with. In a few months, I'm going to be going to Antelope Canyon in the Grand Canyon in Arizona, so I'll try to vlog from there. That's going to be super fun. But yeah, for the A7R III, I'll be giving a review on that in the next few days. I mean, for the most part, I've enjoyed the image quality. It's been great. Just the ergonomics are only that of which a mother could truly love. It's very poorly laid out, in my opinion, at least for me. I will show you real quick, if I can pull up one of my photos in Photoshop. I'll show you an image that I photographed with it. I got up really early yesterday morning, and I went to a lake out here by me called Carter's Lake, which is a very beautiful lake. And they have this little river on the lake, this little river bend that is pretty shallow water, and a lot of boats normally don't go back there. But we had a private guide. It's actually a fishing guide. That takes sometimes he takes people back there to the river, and he took us back in this little river bend, and the sunrise was coming up because we got to the lake at like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. And when the sun came up, there was some rolling fog over the trees, and I don't know. It's a very simple shot, but I like it. It's just nice. So let me show you guys real quick. I just put it into Photoshop. Here, I'll put another one of mine in Photoshop. I'll put two of them in there so you can see two of them. And both of these were taken with the A7R III. So let me swap the screen over so you guys can see it. There we go. Hopefully you guys can see that. So this is one that I took yesterday morning with the A7R III. And it's just, I mean, I didn't have to do much to it. Some contrast, some exposure, a little bit of dodging and burning, and that was it. I mean, I was done processing this in like 10 minutes. The morning was just beautiful. The trees, the pine trees were beautiful. The lake was beautiful. You can see the fog that was kind of rolling in over here, and then the light, the first light of the sunrise was just spitting across the top of the trees. Very subtle clouds, not much color. I don't know. I like it. It's just a nice little the green of the trees in shadow with the warm light was nice. And then once the sun actually came up, I shot this one, which I thought was kind of nice. Again, just a simple shot, but it was just nice. I was photographing all these handheld from a boat. So yeah, I was making sure my ISO was pumped to like, I don't know, I think like 1,000 or something, so that I could get a nice handheld shutter speed because we were moving. Even though the boat motor wasn't moving, we were still drifting with the current. So yeah, I got a nice little sun star up here to the left, and if you can see back here in the center, There's some nice light beams with some fog just streaking through the scene here, kissing the trees over here. It's just nice. I got 2 little nice images with the A7R3 yesterday. I was happy with them. I really like this one. This one's my favorite, I think. I'm gonna probably gonna want to print this one, which I'll try to make a video on. This one's a favorite of mine. I like it. It's just normal and subtle enough to where it might sell well as a print. So I'll probably end up finding a way to print that one. All right, let's head back over to the live chat here. Let's see. A. Kelly says, "Hey Eric, how was the Disney trip?" Hey, what's up, man? I think you're Alan, right? This Alan, the guy. I think it's the guy that bought my D810. Disney trip was fantastic as always. Love going there. This may be something you guys don't know about me. I am like next level nerdy, but I am a super big into Disney pins, like pin trading. I found this really cool pin. I don't know. This is like super off topic and super nerdy, but I had this little pin that I got. It's Donald Duck marching band with Huey, Dewey, and Louie, his little cousins, on Disney's Main Street. It's a limited edition of 1,500, so I'm super into these pins. I know this is like next level nerdy, but I have a ton of these little things, and I trade them, and I buy new ones all the time. So I'm actually just ordered a few cork boards, big boards, so I can display them in my office because I have so many of these things. But yeah, if you guys like Disney, pin trading is so much fun. If you ever get into Disney pins, there's like a whole underworld of Disney pin traders that trade all the time and get these limited edition models. And yeah, I'm actually might even take a 1-day trip to Disney World in December just so I can be there for a specific Christmas pin release. I know, again, next level nerdy, but I have fun with it. Let's see. I'm getting my X-T2 today. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, you're gonna love that, man. What camera are you coming from with the when you're going to your X-T2? Waiting right now for UPS. Oh, I know that feeling. Waiting for UPS is hard to do. Oh, here we go. He says traded my A7 II for it. Oh, well, yeah, you're okay. So as long as you're okay going from full frame to APS-C, you're gonna love everything about the X-T2. It's way faster than the A7 II. Its image quality is easily just as good, and the lenses are phenomenal. And the lenses aren't as expensive as Sony lenses, which you will like as well. I loved that. Jason said, "Good trade, but unless you do video or only shoot JPEG, the A7 III would have been a better choice." It's so far ahead. Yeah, I mean, it all depends what you shoot. The A7 III is nice, but Sony lenses are very expensive, overpriced in my opinion. Martian says, "Greetings, Earthlings." Greetings. So stoked to get out there and shoot with the newer X-Trans. The last Fuji was the X100S. Oh, wow, yeah, so you haven't had a Fuji in a while. Chad says, "I'm looking for a new printer." Eric, where did you get your prints from again? Also the turnaround time. I've got my prints from a few places. I used to use a local print lab in just a small town in Georgia that was a really good print lab, but they don't do online stuff. But when I moved further up into the mountains, I stopped using them because it's like over an hour drive now to that little print lab. So I have now been getting them from Art Mill or through my SmugMug account. I'm still a SmugMug Pro business user. And if you're a business user, you get to actually have control of your prints. You can actually like talk to someone at the lab, and you can have them like send your print with a certificate of authenticity, and you can like upload your signature and all this stuff. So if you're looking for a lab to print, I would probably still go with Art Mill. They're really, really good. But if you want, like, if you're just cool with smaller prints, like if you do mainly like 13 by 19, 11 by 14 stuff, look at Bay Photo I think they're out of San Francisco. They're pretty good and they're fair priced. Or Art Beat Studios is good. And then if you want a printer of your own, the Epson has a really good one. I did like the Canon for a while. The Canon Pro 1 is what I think I had, but Epson has a new one where you can actually load. It's decently priced too. It's only like $800, and you can load a roll of paper, so you can actually print, even though you can't print wider than a 13 or something like a 13-inch width. You can print the length of however long that roll will go. So if you do like a panorama, you can print like a 6-foot long big piece of printer paper on a panorama, and it's actually like a consumer level office printer from Epson. But it is a photo printer, so they allow you to mess with the color scales from Photoshop. It'll print, Adobe RGB. You can have you can add color shift at the end, and you can do the soft proofing from Lightroom and print directly from Lightroom and all that stuff. So it's a really good printer. Let me see if I can get you the name of it real quick here. I know I have more people asking questions, but I think it's called the Epson P600 or something. Let me see. Yeah, it is the Epson SureColor P600. A friend of mine has this, and it's really good. So the maximum printable area is 13 inches by 129 inches. So 13 inches wide is the max, but it'll go 129 inches long with that big roll of paper you can do. And it's Wi-Fi or Ethernet. It's got a little touchscreen on it, and from what I hear, it's a pigment-based ink. By the way, it's pigment, so it's the archival period will be much longer than something like the Canon Pro 10 or I forget what it was, Pro 100 or something that's not a pigment-based ink. Very, very good, very, very good deal. Let me see the price on this P600 right now is $693 with a $200 mail-in rebate. So it's literally only $493 after the rebate. That's insane. So it's gone down even further. So there you go. That's a really, really good printer if you ever want to do stuff yourself, which is tough, but it's very fun. Let's see. Let me catch up on the live chat here. You guys have been chatting it up. XD3 and A7 are the class leaders. You guys are just chatting with yourselves there. Thanks for the feedback. Yep, no problem. Again, you'll love your XT2. I mean, you're not going to have a problem with it. Even coming from a full frame, remember I owned my Nikon D810 since it came out, and I still introduced the XT2 into my workflow, and I was still blown away by how an APS-C camera could just be that good. It was very, very good. Hey, Mark Puckett's in here. What's up, man? Haven't talked to you in a long time. Ever since you've been Mr. Morning Jolt, which I like. I like the new set. I like your new film set too. I'm trying to work on my an actual building a set somewhere in my office, so I have a good a good background, not something distracting to look at. So yeah, I like your set. Your red curtains with your lamps. It's very moody and dramatic, and I like it. Let's see. I'm really excited about the new full frame Lumix. Yeah, I'm excited to see what Panasonic does with their full frame. Definitely sure. Definitely sure they're going to mimic Nikon with they already did with their less expensive and more expensive. They pretty much did a Z6 and Z7. But I'm curious to know what they're going to do with the price. I want to know what the price is going to be. Are they going to beat Nikon or match Nikon? I guess we'll have to find out. Let's see. The Zeiss. I'm a Zeiss freak, and the Lumix is my first. Yeah, so the Zeiss ZX1 looks really cool. It really, really does. But it runs Android, and they're trying to sell the fact that you can edit photos on the camera. That's just way too gimmicky for me. Yeah. So definitely not gonna entertain the Zeiss. It looks very cool. It looks like a James Bond camera, but it's not gonna really fare well in the market. Let's be honest. Let's see. The Jolt Man has joined. Yep, he is in here. Thoughts on the S1R and S1? Yeah, so that's my thoughts are, in short, the ZX1 is very cool looking, but I don't like the fact that they're trying to sell it as like no one's going to pick up the camera and be like, okay, now let me edit my photos, on this little screen. No, it's not going to happen. So yeah, I think the ZX1 is cool looking, little gimmicky. The Panasonic, I'm very interested in. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with it. I'm not going to by any means sell all my stuff and go Panasonic, but I think they could have made a smart move. We'll have to wait and see when they confirm the price. So we will go from there. Let's see. I moonlight as an interior decorator. Call me. All right, man. Absolutely. I'll call you up here. You're not that far of a drive, so I'll call you up here and you can build me a set just somewhere back there. I have a really big. When I got my new house, the builders actually ended up having extra space. We ended up pushing the living room out downstairs, and we didn't realize that it was also going to push the upstairs, like make it 6 feet larger. So I have a huge office in this house. I have this huge, like you can see, I have 2 desks. I have this desk that I'm sitting at, and then there's a desk back there that I use for recording. So this huge area, and I just don't know how to work the space to make it a good set. So yeah, Mark, why don't you just come up here and help me, man? You're only like a 6-hour drive? All right, let's see. Andrea says, how is your experience with Sony? So far, the image quality is great. I mean, I can't badmouth it and say that the Sony A7R III is just a horrible camera. It's not. It's great image quality, and the ergonomics are just they're not good. My middle finger has a blister, which I'll explain more about in the review. Like it's a very crowded grip with the lens if you have big fingers. Oh, Mark, you don't have to do that, man. Just a little creator support. Buy some curtains. All right, I will. I will take that and buy some curtains, I promise. That's awesome. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Let's see. Jason says, kind of curious as to why Fuji seems to be releasing wildlife lenses for medium format. I'm curious to know why Sony at Photokina randomly said they're going to come out with an animal eye autofocus. That's what I'm curious about. If we're going to talk about wildlife, let's talk about why Sony said they're developing an animal eye autofocus. I want to know if that's going to work. Like, what? I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. Let's see. No pricing on the ZX1 yet. Yeah, nothing yet. It's definitely, again, just curious. I wonder if Zeiss is going to pull the whole, like, well, they have the Zeiss logo, so we can charge whatever we want kind of thing, kind of like Leica does, or if they're actually going to make it somewhat of a competitor. I guess we'll have to find out and see. How are those Sony menus? As bad as all of us also think compared to Fuji? Oh, yeah, they're awful. They are awful. Before I ever went on my Disney trip, I sat in here for about an hour trying to just find the little things that I needed to change, like changing the color space to RGB instead of sRGB, trying to make sure all the focus points and the video settings were on 120 frames per second, making sure everything was good so that when I got to Disney, I didn't have to fool with any of that. It took forever. Their menus are just, it's terrible. Fuji and Nikon, granted, I know Nikon in my sleep. Nikon menus I could literally operate with my eyes closed, but it's still just like, I get it. Like I picked up the Fuji for the first time, and I got it. Like, I just understood it. It was very easy to maneuver. The Sony was painful. But again, I'm not just evaluating it as the computer of a camera that it is. It takes really nice looking images. Which for anyone that's recently joined, I'll swap over again and show you the photos that I took yesterday morning with it. Here again, for anyone that's joined in new. This is a sunrise that I took standing up handheld from a fishing boat, and it just turned out nice. I mean, the thing I am surprised about is Sony does have nicer colors than I thought. There's a little bit of a green shift in the raw files, but easily corrected, and for the most part, all the rest of the colors are rendered pretty nicely. So there you go. That's the second photo I took. A little sun star there in the top left and some fog in the back, kind of with some light streaking through it. But I like this one a lot. This is my favorite. I'm definitely going to look into printing that one. So, yep. Overall, Sony has not been as bad as I thought it would. I'll say that. Because a lot of us talk crap about Sony, and they deserve it sometimes, and sometimes they don't. Every camera company screws up. I mean, gosh, should we even get into the Canon EOS R? No, I don't think we should, because that's just going to get me all fired up. And then, oh, by the way, let's talk about how Panasonic came in and gave the middle finger to everybody and was like, hey, guess what? Dual card slots. Deuces. That was awesome. So that was pretty funny how Nikon and Canon released their big full-frame cameras, single card slot. I'm sure Panasonic was just like laughing in a corner like, oh, no. We are the only people that got it right. How did this happen? We just won the lottery. So a lot of people might look at Panasonic just because it's another full-frame mirrorless with 2 card slots. Again, I don't care that much about it. I mean, it's not life or death for me because I'm not a wedding photographer, but it's definitely nice to have 2 card slots for sure. Let's see. Got to catch up on the live chat again. What do you miss and not miss the most about your Fujis? What I miss the most about the Fuji is the the color and the lenses. The lenses, beautiful image quality, and the color right out of the camera was just near perfect. I very rarely had to do any kind of white balance work. What I do not miss the most is anytime I did a long exposure with the X-T2 or shot a Sunstar, it had all these little dead pixels or hot pixels that would show up. It had a lot of hot pixels on long exposures. And even though I continuously did the pixel mapping thing in the menu, I still had a lot of problem with hot pixels with that camera. I'm not sure why, so it was kind of, I don't know, it was just bad editing a long exposure because everywhere in the shadows there would be a million little hot pixels. And the D810, every camera has that issue, but just some cameras have it a lot more. Like the D850, almost nothing. There's almost no hot pixels at all in long exposure. It's insane. And I don't know what the technology is on how some cameras have more and some cameras have less, but that's what I don't miss the most is the X-T2 had a big hot pixel problem for sure. Let's see. Can you do a test of the Nikon 19mm tilt shift? I want some tilt shift lenses, and the Canon tilt shift are well documented, but not much about the Nikon. Yeah, when I send the A7 R3 back to B&H Photo, I think they'll give me the chance to ask for some more gear. And if I can fit it into my budget that they allow me, I will ask for a tilt shift lens. That is a good idea, because I have considered that in the past as well. Let's see. Tried defending the 3 separate recalls on the D7500. Mine is fine. Guess I got lucky. Oh, I haven't seen those yet. Gosh, Nikon and their recalls. D750. Okay, I was about to say I didn't hear anything on the 7500 if that's what it's called. The 7200 successor there. Okay, D750. Yeah, the D750 recalls were terrible. Same with the D610 or D600 with the oil spots on the sensor. That was just nuts. I'm glad I didn't buy either one of those cameras, just in case. Okay. Well, cool. You guys have been talking up a storm here finally. It's about time. Normally you guys are really quiet in the live chat. All right, well, fire off any of your last-minute questions. I'm going to get off here in about a minute or two, and I'm going to go work on another video and work on my Disney course that I'm creating. I'm still creating the Disney photography course, and very soon, I'm hoping this week, within this week or early next week, I'm going to have, finally, I've been working so hard to get the infrastructure for this set up. I'm going to be releasing my monthly photography school or a course, if you would like. It's you can finally, you'll be able to join and pay monthly to get videos from me. You'll get 1 to 2 videos a week. So basically anywhere from 4 to 8 videos a month if you pay monthly, and it's just going to be one standard price. I can't stand the people that do the tiers $7 and $15 and $20 and $30. Yeah, you can just pay monthly and basically just have it all. I don't want you to have to do the whole tier thing. The people that can afford $7 a month just get one video. And I like these people better because they pay me $2 more a month. I don't like that. I don't like that business model. I don't think it works very well. So I just want to do one flat price, and anyone that can afford it, awesome. And you get everything. You just get everything. You get my courses, and you get weekly videos. And it's going to be called, I think, tell me if you like the name before I make it this. I'm going to call it the Photographers of the Round Table. I like it. It might be nerdy, but I like it. Tell me what you think of the name, or if you have another name idea. Gosh, Mark Puckett, what are you doing, man? You don't have to keep giving me the super chats. God, you're awesome. Well, anyone that doesn't know, go follow Mark Puckett on the Photo Video Show. He does a morning photography talk show. I think it's every weekday, if I'm not mistaken. It's called The Morning Jolt, and I watch every episode religiously. You guys should do that too. He's kind of changed the direction of his channel, and I love it. He's just man, he doesn't hold anything back. He's got this, better just watch what you say, because whatever you say, he's going to say it in a video, and he'll either come after you and make things right, or he'll make it funny. He's got some really good videos up. So yeah, go follow him. Watch The Morning Jolt. It's a really, really good morning show. I literally watch it when I wake up and I see it uploaded. Before I start my workday, I sit there and I watch my episode of The Morning Jolt. All right, let's see. Will it cover composition and the finding the picture, or just editing? Good question, Jason. Yes, it will cover everything. It's going to cover a vast amount of stuff. It'll be processing tips. It'll be in the field tips. It will be how to get better composition. Some of it will be gear videos on basically everything that I don't put on YouTube will be in that monthly photography training. And sometimes I'll leak one of the videos to YouTube just to give people, a little taste of what, if they want to, if they want to join or not. But yeah, it's all going to be private videos, just the people paying monthly. And it's going to be all those things: composition in the field, editing, bunch of stuff. So, yep, there you go. So if you guys, I'll wait just a second in case you guys have any other questions just about that. Because what I've been doing, it's just something mentally going on with me. I can't stand like making a video and not putting it on YouTube. So that's why I've been so bad at doing this. I've had to make a bunch of videos and keep them to myself so that I can harness them for this monthly, training course set of people. And like I sleep at night and I'm like, should I just go upload that on YouTube? I just need to share it on YouTube for free. But I gotta get into that mindset, because if I have that mindset where I just put everything on YouTube, everything for free, I'm gonna go out of business very soon. So I'm gonna offer them at a course. So I'm making sure that I keep some videos private and a lot of videos still for free. Nothing's gonna be changing on my channel. Like I'm not gonna be, every time I do a video like, oh, pay me a couple bucks. Not going to be doing that. Promise. Thank you, Mr. Mark. All right. I think we are all good. Well, I'm going to go ahead and hop off and work on that monthly photography course and the Disney course and get to work on that, since I'm spending the weekend in the mountains for my dad's birthday. And also I will be finishing my A7R3 review, so you'll get that soon as well. And as always, seriously, guys, thank you so much for always watching my videos and supporting me. Like I said, you guys, anytime people always go, hey, do you have friends? And I was like, yeah, man, I have like 16,000 friends, and they're all on the internet. They're all my YouTube fans. So yeah, you guys are like my favorite 16,000 people. So as always, thank you guys so much, and much love. I love you guys. Goodbye.